See, that's a little hard because it depends on like what style you're playing. And I would argue that most rudiments are not really applicable on the drum kit. So like, for example, if you played a flam 5, like that's not gonna sound great on the drum kit. I don't know if I really focus on rudiments for the drum kit. Like the stuff that I'm like practicing is like limb independent stuff, and like the rudiments like really don't have much to do with that at all. For example, like the 40 essential rudiments, this is an unpopular opinion, but it's my opinion. Most of them are useless. A lot of them are just like different lengths of rolls and like tap rolls and stuff. It needs to fit a musical context, not just be like, oh, well, I can play a 9-stroke roll, I can play a 17-stroke roll. Like that doesn't matter. What matters is that it fits inside of a context. And so you don't need to know like the number of it. You just need to know the musical phrase. And then like stuff like radimacues, like a triplet radimacue has been unpopular for decades. So like I wouldn't recommend practicing the essential rudiments. What I'd recommend doing is actually just like more limb independent stuff and like working on like some of the basics. If you go to technique, this is again on the home tab of YouTube, I'd recommend spending your time on the stick control variations. There's some really basic ones of like your normal stick control, you know, where you just alternate. And with stick control and drum kit, you don't have to just play it with your hands. So you don't have to like, you can play it with like right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, but the left is actually like your right foot. There's variations in here for working on versions with filler, where you don't just play the sticking pattern, but you also fill it in so you can get the different rhythms. And if you do that with different limbs, this could be really helpful for you. Timing exercises, whether it's the timing transitions or the timing exercises in this one, there's 16th notes, triplets, and 8th notes. And then probably the endurance and speed. So you can just like get your hands more comfortable. So like those would be like the playlist that I probably recommend. If I'm being honest, like for drum kit, I wouldn't really recommend focusing on rudiments. Before I get to the next tip, I just want to say really quickly that you can find literally thousands of hours of free drumming play-alongs and drumming tips in the link at the top of the description or by going into my home tab of YouTube. The way I like to have my kit set up is everything is compact. The reason for this is, one, I'm a rudimental drummer, so efficiency is key for being able to play fast, as opposed to like having one drum way over here and one drum way over here. So same thing for the drum kit. It's the smallest amount of motion to be able to get to each one of the cymbals and each one of the drums when playing through this. So that way I don't have to waste my time going from one drum to the next. But I have had students, they wanted to make it more theatrical, etc. So whatever angle you have your leg at is where you want to have your bass drum lined up with the pedal. So if you have a wide stance, then you want to just like move the pedal so that way it goes straight into the head like this. And you just move it to whatever angle you need to, where it's lined up with your leg right here. Same thing with the hi-hat. You don't want to have it so that like your legs are going this way and then your feet are like out or like in like this. This is no good. We want to have everything lined up. Same thing with like the stick. The stick is an extension of your forearm with your hand. So when you're playing, you don't want to play like this. You don't want to go da-da-da-da-da-da-da or like outward like this. You want to have it be an extension. So same thing with the pedal. The pedal's an extension of my leg with my foot. So this is one-way independence. Two-way, I got a second limb in here. Three. Four would be adding another limb. And then if you're talking, technically five-way independence. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is 3-4 in the feet, while you're doing 4-4 in the hands. So you go. Okay, so now you're doing this, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So five-way independence if you want to do that. How would you recommend learning about this and other conceptual things for drummers? Study more music. Under the drumming tips right here, there's a bunch of tips in here that I recommend for you to be able to improve your playing. But one of the videos is how to improve sight reading. So this is number 79. And at the start of this video, I have here just like all these different books that I have used to work on my sight reading, to work on reading more music. I would just like read through it once and then maybe set it aside or spend some time working through it extensively for over multiple months. This made it so that I had a broad understanding of like the ways that different people wrote different kinds of music, and made it so that I better understood what was possible on the different instruments I was playing. So sometimes I would learn something that was possible on like marimba and go, oh, that's really cool. What if I applied that like on drum kit? Or what if I applied this concept of a phrase or a rhythm or even a rudiment on a different instrument, etc. I highly recommend just like learning as many different styles as possible outside of the genre that you normally do, and just like read as many method books as possible, or like go through as many of these like thousands of exercises on my YouTube home tab as possible. Like go through the chop stuff, just take it really slow, even if it's like super difficult, just to like learn, oh, well, that's a really weird rudiment. Maybe I'll include that in my writing. Or like check out the different technique exercises. They introduce all kinds of like weird rhythms and timing things that you can work on that you can then go, oh, how would this phrase work on this other instrument, and apply that there and just experiment with it. And if you actually go to /gear, which is the second link that's on like each one of the play-alongs or each one of the like drumming tips videos, inside of here are some of the books that were just demonstrated there. So for example, these are some of the drum kit books that I recommend. If you're into drum kit, check some of these out. If you're into mallets, here's some fundamental books that you can work on, especially Lee Howard Stevens books, Method for Movement. This one is like an absolute must if you play Stevens grip. Some rudimental books that I recommend. Concert snare. One of my favorites is the Cerrone book, specifically the study guide one. This one has notes from the composer on like how to play certain things and why he wrote things certain ways. So this is a great way to unpack the thoughts of a composer, to go, oh, that's what they were thinking when they wrote this idea or this phrase, or oh, that's how you'd play it. If you want to get into more advanced stuff, De La Cluse, usually graduate students go through like Dos Etudes or Kais Clariana, etc. So like these can be useful to go through if you're much more advanced with snare drum, but this one is like late high school and undergrad level for a lot of these solos. There's stuff for timpani, and then here's like the sticks and stuff that I'm using. And this is no offense or anything to younger drummers, but there's this tendency to just like focus on everything at one height and just playing fast. So like thinking that like that is somehow like harder than playing distinct phlegm accents or something, but like just fast something at one height is just like training yourself to do one thing quickly and not really having much control over it. So when I see, again, no offense, some people who will just like focus on only speeding up their singles and just like try and get that as quickly as possible, it's like great. But there's more like timbres, textures, etc. that you can do when you are playing the drums, aside from just playing one thing at one height just as quickly as possible. This person was like the swim captain of their high school swimming team. They finish their morning workout and they look over and they see somebody else who's swimming, and they're just like, oh man, that guy's technique is terrible. What are they doing? I think I should go over there and like tell them, this is what you're doing wrong. I was a swim captain of my high school team, so like I know what I'm talking about. Dude, this is not it. You clearly have no idea what you're doing. The guy who was swimming gets out of the pool. Who was it? Michael Phelps. I love that story because it just kind of like encapsulates a lot of the stuff that I see online where people will be like, this guy doesn't know how to invest. And it's like Warren Buffett. It's just like, how about just for a moment, you just think that maybe you could learn something from somebody else and just take a moment to, you know, learn from other people. Maybe you'll go further, but maybe I'm wrong on that.